another Sensible Sundays. And this is Des Gerald, your host with the Real Estate and Staging. And I have with me Miss Owele Nwazi. Is that how you pronounce it?
Owele Nwazi. Very close.
I totally messed up on that. Say that again.
Owele Nwazi.
Owele Nwazi. And Owele is actually with a program called Ribbon. And I'm very excited to share the information with you guys today because Ribbon actually provides cash to home buyers and home sellers to get them to the closing table. So if you are in a situation where you can actually use this program, you definitely want to stay tuned and listen and watch the show. So again, we are Sensible Sundays, and what we are doing here, we are empowering home buyers, home sellers, and investors to be well-informed consumers from the start of their real estate journey. And Owele, please let us know about the program. What is the program? Briefly, just explain what the program is. I know we're going to kind of get into detail a little bit more, but in a couple of sentences, what is the program?
That's my favorite question. I always like talking about what I do.
Ribbon
is essentially like a cash intermediary system. Think of us like the new age bridge loan, right?
Okay.
Less hoops to jump through, way easier. We'll back your offer as a buyer with our cash so that you have guaranteed closing after due diligence. We want to set expectations, make homeownership achievable for all people, but we understand lending's not easy. Right. It's not easy to purchase a home and things pop up during the process. We don't want that to ever delay you to be able to move your family into a house and start to make that your home. And the same thing for sellers as well. We understand that you are committing and planning on that closing date. So with our offers, you can actually go ahead and pack the moving truck, that kind of jazz. We're guaranteed to bring you that cash so you can move on to your next step.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about I guess the owner or the founder or just how this company came about. What made them create this program?
Yeah, our owners are awesome, Shavel and Way. Shavel actually is the one who came up with Ribbon as his brainchild. The most awesome Disney-esque kind of story. His parents are immigrants. They immigrated from India over to the United States at a time where financing wasn't easy, especially for someone who is becoming a newly naturalized citizen.
Right.
They wanted the American dream. They strived for it. They did 10 years in tenement kind of housing where they were 5 of them stuck together and struggled through it. And at the end of the day, when he had the cash, after working 10 years at a company, the lenders told them no, because it was a time where, for not PC reasons, they could decide who they wanted to finance. Luckily, he was a model employee and his employer wanted to help him make that dream come true. So they helped him purchase the home. But because of their kindness, his parents wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity for the American dream. They actually helped 20 or more families come over, sit down roots. They purchased homes for them. They only had 2 rules.
How did they do that? Wow.
Yeah. It's awesome. And this is like a rags to riches story entirely. So any money they had left over as a family, instead of them going on vacations and that kind of stuff, they would help another family buy a home. So
that is amazing.
Only 2 rules his parents had were, hey, you're going to purchase it back at the same purchase price and we'll keep rent the same no matter how long it takes you, which is honestly the most amazing thing, especially with how the market changes. And that is
awesome.
Today we have Ribbon.
Wow. And so how long have they been doing the program?
We were founded end of 2017, early 2018. So it's been a little over 2 years.
Okay. And what area do you guys focus on? I was looking and I think it was just North Carolina and South Carolina.
So we actually do Tennessee, Nashville kind of area, North Carolina and South Carolina. Those end up being our more active markets, but we are expanding to the Tennessee area.
Okay. All right. That is awesome. That is really, really good. So in a nutshell, let's kind of focus on the buyer. What's a scenario where this would be perfect for a buyer? I mean, I can give you one because I was just in multiple offers like a few weeks ago and we had to wait in line. And so my client got discouraged. But what are some ways that you guys use it for buyers?
Yeah, Ribbon has pretty much two usage cases. We will do offer upgrade. So exactly what you said, in those multiple offer situations, or if you have a financing type that may not be super attractive, we'll back you with our cash so that you can go in, not contingent, put in a full cash offer, win the home of your dreams versus, settling on the 10th home that you've seen. We have another model where we do flexible move-in as well. So if you have a home to sell, if you're relocating, whatever the situation is, even with COVID-19, if your family is at risk and you don't want to risk doing showings while you're trying to sell your home, you just want to move, we'll purchase that home for you, reserve it, you're renting back from us. And then once you get your vacant home sold, let us know within that 6-month time frame, we'll organize a repurchase.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then for sellers, how would you use it for sellers? What's the best situations that you've come across?
So the best situations is the domino effect. Some buyers may not know what that means, but agents definitely know what that means. Those times where you have to schedule a double close. So maybe someone's purchasing your home, but you also have this new construction that you have to purchase and close on. And there's all these moving pieces.
Right.
For sellers, it's awesome to use because now there's a huge weight off your shoulders. You're not going to be homeless.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Your buyer may not close on time, but we can at least get you into the other home, give you peace of mind. And then if you have a deal that's falling apart last minute, as the seller, maybe it's a VA person, maybe it's someone with NACA, and NACA's a great program, but notoriously they don't close on time.
Right.
And we know you need your money on time.
Right.
Ribbon can step in and back that buyer for your home and guarantee that they can close on the date that works for you.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say that this sounds like the perfect program, especially in this situation with dealing with COVID, unfortunately. Things are just moving at a very slow pace right now. And so to be able to have a program that could come in, you can make that cash offer, not only just for multiple situations, but to also help on the seller side as well is just phenomenal. I really would love to meet the the founders of this program one day. The way that they're blessing people is really, really amazing. Some people would say, okay, well, you provide the cash, and you could you could actually purchase the house at the same amount that you bought the house, they paid for you to buy the house for. What's the catch? Because a lot of people's gonna say, okay, well, how are you guys benefiting? In a nutshell, what is the catch? Like,
There is absolutely no catch at all. I think I had this conversation with someone earlier today, so I like that you asked that question. I always tell people the number one thing in business, something that the CEO of Amazon, the big wigs will tell you, is that if you treat your business like your family, you treat your consumers right, it'll last for a lifetime. If you fight for tiny margins, that's not something that'll last, because there will always be someone who will undercut you. You're not in it for the right reasons. I think that something that separates Ribbon is that we're in it for the right reasons. We're only charging you that 3% fee, a part of our transaction. That is it. If we don't have to fund the transaction, we actually give you a rebate back because we're not using our own cash. Okay. We don't have any additional costs added into our rental period. When you're renting back, it's prorated to the day. So you're not even paying for days that you're not having to rent back from us, which is ideal for a lot of homeowners. Ribbon truly is trying to make sure that we're remaining respectful of what homeownership means to a lot of people. It's hard. Right. And we've fought to own our own home, and we want to make sure we can get more families in the home. We want to be a volume kind of business, helping everyone, versus trying to capitalize on one or two moves and make tons of money.
Right. That I really preach on relationship. I mean, that's how I built my business. I built on relationship, not necessarily a numbers driven. I got to hit this deadline to make this amount of money every. I can't operate like that. So I don't operate like that. It's, to me, I feel like it's all about relationships, and it's all about who you make that connection with, and then the money will come later. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that they have that type of philosophy. So you said there's a 3% fee, right? That's something that you pay at closing, before closing. How does that work?
So a lot of our homeowners will actually bake it into their offer.
Okay.
I give the example of, do you want $290 tomorrow, or would you rather have $310 in 30 days maybe? Okay. Most people are going to take the $290 and run. Right. So your agent can structure the offer that way and ask for our fee to be covered as seller paid closing costs, nothing coming out of the pocket for you. In those times where you're multiple offers and you maybe can't afford to ask for as much, the buyer can contribute to cover the fee. We just need them to have it covered 5 days prior to closing. That way we can pay the attorneys and all the other vendors are part of the process.
Okay.
We cover fees for our closing, you cover fees for yours.
Okay. Now, I think before, when I first got into the program, it was 2%, but now it's 3%, you said?
Yes.
Percent. Okay. And then the other thing is, it does make a difference whether or not, say someone's doing FHA versus like a conventional loan, correct? As far as how long they get to stay in the property?
Yes. And that has more to do with the federal guidelines than anything that we mandate. That's also the why behind the fee change, especially with COVID-19. A lot of businesses are shutting down. A lot of people are getting furloughed. People are losing their jobs, and the lending guidelines are changing. So we're actually ending up with a larger amount of our homeowners who we've purchased homes for who can't repurchase, and it's not their fault. And It's not our fault either, but we have to make sure that as a business, we can keep our doors open to help more people. Right. So we've upped that fee to 3%, but if you can fund the transaction, you're still getting the 2% back. So that hasn't changed for any of those buyers. Okay. For the people who are moving in, if you're FHA, there's that 90-day flip rule. So you do have to have at least a minimum of 3 months in the home.
Right.
I always encourage that. Exactly. Okay. I always encourage those homeowners to plan for 6 months, because one caveat that a lot of people don't know about the 90-day flip rule is it's 90 days at an 85% loan to value. If you had 15% in cash, you would not be FHA. So plan to be renting back for the 6 months. If your lender can work magic, we'll let you repurchase whenever. But a lot of times we'll work with the lenders in advising those FHA, those other VA kind of people, so that we set them up for like a no-lose situation. No matter what, they can repurchase.
Okay. All right, that sounds really good. Now, as far as the rent that they have to pay, like, how do you calculate the rent?
That's a great question. The rent is going to be on a home by home basis. We have our team of valuation analysts that will go back and look at, what we feel like the home may appraise for. Okay. Max value. So at the end of the day, the nice thing about Ribbon is you have a third party service here that's mitigating your risk as a buyer. You're not having to go $20K above list in order to win the home and find out later that it is actually not going to appraise for that amount, and you're just really giving the seller 20 extra thousand. So that's an added benefit. When they value the property, they'll actually come up with our monthly costs for holding the home. That is strictly what your rent's going to be. There's no add up cost or upcharge on that. It's just what it costs for us to hold the home for you.
Okay. So say for some reason they do not or cannot get the loan and move out within the time that you guys allow, let's say 6 months, what happens?
That's a great question. One thing I want to highlight is that we don't expect buyers or the sellers to be experts in this realm. That's why they have wonderful agents and lenders and other vendors a part of it. We treat our lenders as stewards of our cash. So we're really relying on that lender to do their due diligence, verify credit, asset, income, and make sure that this person can repurchase down the line. Now, right now, we understand that there's some things going on that make that a little bit hard. So we're
and that's exactly why I asked, because with COVID, like somebody could lose their job, not knowing that they're going to lose their job, like maybe 2 or 3 months into the house. And then it's like,
what do I do?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. We're small for a reason. We want to make sure that we can cater to the homeowners we work with. Those lenders, generally, if your homeowner can't repurchase, that's a conversation that we have with the lender. Some lenders have honestly been removed from our funding list because they weren't doing the due diligence to make sure that those people can repurchase. That's money that homeowners wasting too, because they've put in EMD and DD, and we need to
Okay, guys, EMD means earnest money deposit, and DD means due diligence. Okay.
Sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself, but there you have an investment, so we want to make sure we're being respectful of the cash you put up too. For those people who are dealing with COVID issues, we don't charge you anything. We just ask that you move out so that we can find some way to sell the property as quickly as possible. We have a minimum of 2 months renting back before you can decide to leave. You would lose that earnest money and due diligence you put forth. Generally, we'll credit it back to you when you repurchase, but if you're not repurchasing, you don't get it back. And then you've already paid our fee, so we're not going to hold you for anything else. Life happens.
Okay. All right. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I have 2 more questions. One, I want you to give a scenario where, just not so successful story, and then give us one of your successful stories with the program.
Yeah, not so successful story. I think there are a lot of times where we get almost beat out because the market is so fast. So we've had homeowners who reached out and said, hey, I really want to use you. We need to go in non-contingent on a property. Well, I'm talking to this homeowner. We're trying to get them prepped. We're getting them ready.
Yeah.
Maybe they have student loans and I'm working with them because that's a condition that we need to settle before we back the offer to get that stuff done. And then in the middle of it, the agent is like, oh, well, I negotiated terms. I got the seller to accept the offer without you. Great. Fantastic.
Wow.
I don't get that time of my life back, but great.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay. I can see that.
That would be like one of my worst stories.
Okay.
In my opinion, our success stories started off as tragedies for the homeowner, and they ended up being successes. Won't name names, but we had a homeowner who went through a huge life change. Unfortunately, her significant other was unfaithful to her, and he was dealing with some emotional issues. He committed suicide and left like a death will to leave everything to the mission.
Whoa! That's
that pumped the brakes really hard on the home that they were already under contract on. Now the lender couldn't actually back the loan because they have this deathbed will and no one knows where the assets are actually supposed to be. That's months in litigation to figure out.
Right.
So we stepped in and backed the offer for her. It actually took her 9 months to repurchase. That's past our 6-month standard.
But you guys made that.
We month extension because we understand.
Right.
That
so you're willing to work. It's not something that you want to have to do, but in extreme circumstances, you will work with someone. I mean, that's an extreme circumstance.
It was so extreme. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So
me neither.
Whatever we could to make sure. We eventually got her father qualified as a co-signer so she could repurchase and keep the equity. But yeah, we worked with her.
Okay, well, I like that. It sounds like you guys are definitely about relationships as well. So I love that. I'm definitely going to use your program. I was very, very skeptical at first because I was just like, no way, no, it's got to be a catch. And then I reached out to one of my realtor peers. I don't know if you know him. It's Ed Everett.
Yes, I do. With Fathom.
Shout out to Ed. I was on a team with Ed years ago. We were on a team together, so we go way back, probably about 7, 8 years now. So he told me, he's like, nah, Des, you're good. They're a good program. I put 8 buyers through that program, so I reached out to you guys, and here we are. And I'm glad I did. And so I'm very, very, very interested in sharing the program, sharing it with my home buyers group, my whole database. And one thing we're going to do, guys, if you're very interested in just seeing a presentation and a breakdown of the program, go to my YouTube channel. The channel is DI Real Estate and Staging. Subscribe, like, and I will definitely upload the webinar to that. We could possibly do a live webinar, right? You'd be interested in doing a live webinar as well. So we'll work on doing that and getting that out to you guys. And yeah, would you like to say anything else before we conclude for today?
No, just go with your gut, guys. I mean, home ownership is a huge dream. I'm recently just purchased my own home. If you want it and you love it, don't let anything hold you back. I know that not the best time to be buying realistically, but you're buying in a market that has stood the test of time. So
it's not necessarily, it's not a good time to buy. Actually, rates are low, right?
Rates are very low.
Exactly. There's uncertainty because we don't know what Mr. or Mrs. Corona or Mr. Corona, whatever. We don't know what Corona's doing right now, what it's going to do. But
the Triangle market and in Charlotte, pretty much most of North Carolina is growing.
Listen, I'm still getting multiple offers. I'm still being stuck in multiple offer situations. And I'm not even out physically showing a house. So, I just came up against 2 last week. So, guys, the market is still great. I know there's uncertainty with COVID-19, but the market's still great. And we're still here. Yeah. Ribbon is still here. So
yes, whatever we have to do to support you and keep our doors open, we're gonna do. We're here.
All right, awesome. Well, Awele, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Discussing the program with us. And guys, I hope today's segment made some sense to you. You definitely want to check out this program. And as always, I want you guys to be inspired and then act on your inspiration. Until next time, bye.